And now for the perspective of a Republican lawmaker, chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator James Risch of Idaho. Senator, thank you very much for joining us. What do you make of President Trump's decision first to call for a strike and then to call it off yesterday on Iran?
Well, Judy, first of all, let me say that I watched the president agonize over this decision. I was at the table at the White House yesterday with a group of people. The military was represented there, intelligence was represented there, and a broad spectrum of the political people from Congress were there. The president gave everybody an opportunity to express their opinions, to express their view of the upside and the downside of all the various options that were there on the table. He listened carefully. He didn't take one side or the other. He anguished over this and was very concerned about, obviously, the human aspects of this, and what happens when kinetic action is used, but also with his duty to defend America and present the front that America has to present when dealt with confrontation from malign forces.
Ultimately, do you think he made the right decision?
Well, look, I'm not going to go there. What I'm going to say is this is not a Republican or a Democrat decision. This is an American decision. And the person making, only one person could make that decision. That room was full of people, very high-ranking people, but there was only one person in that room that could make the decision. We need to all pray for him as he makes those kinds of decisions.
What do you make, though, of the fact that it was at the last minute that the president asked about how many lives would be lost and then decided to pull back?
You know, I think the president was very aware that there were lives lost. I think he was, when that decision or when that advice was given to him, I think he was a little taken aback that it was going to be 150 people. And I know what he was thinking about was the proportionality of the response, shooting down an unarmed drone versus killing 150 people. I think at that moment that weight came to him, and that was a decision that, like I said, he had to make. Again, I hope the Iranians won't come away from this saying, "Oh, this guy's weak." They're dealing with Donald Trump here. They're not dealing with another president, and he is deeply committed to protecting this country, and he's not soft about it.
So you don't think the United States comes out of this looking indecisive, or that the president looks indecisive?
I don't think the United States comes out of this looking indecisive at all. Out of all the countries on the face of the planet, there's no one more concerned about civilian casualties than America is. And I think that weighed heavily on the president as he made this decision. Look, there's going to be other things follow this, not necessarily kinetic, but that is responsive to what the Iranians did.
What will that be?
Well, look, the president's going to make that decision also, and I'll leave that to him to make those announcements.
When you say not necessarily kinetic, you mean not necessarily the military. Do you think there should be a military response to their shooting down a drone?
The president has to make that decision. I sat and listened to the same things he listened to, and it is a very difficult decision. The question for him is, what is proportionate to shooting down an unarmed drone? Do you respond to that with kinetic action that causes injuries or death? He has to make that decision, and only he can make that decision.
Senator, do you think it's realistic to expect Iran to be restrained as the U.S. continues this so-called maximum pressure campaign under President Trump?
I don't know about the expectations for them to be restrained. What my expectation is that they would do what any reasonable human being would do, and that is say, look, we want national security. What's the best way to get there? Is it continue to go down the road to try to develop a nuclear weapon, to support terrorists all over the world, to violate the UN resolutions prohibiting them from testing rockets? Is it better to go that way, or is it better to do what North Korea did and say, you know, there's a better path to follow? And if they think this thing through correctly, they will do themselves a great favor, and they'll do their people a great favor. And the Iranian people are just as much a victim of this as everyone in the world is.
Well, Senator, quickly, with regard to North Korea, it's not clear, is it, that they have given up the nuclear path, is it?
Well, they have done no more on nuclear testing. They've certainly stepped away from that. They have told us, they've told the Chinese, and they've told the world that their goal is to get to a nuclear-free Korean peninsula. That's where we all want to get. That's not where we were 18 months ago.
Senator James Risch, we thank you very much.
Judy, good to be with you as always.